we get a Clippers Cavs final, I owe you a Coke.
You're interrupting my viewership of White Sox athletics right now, Bear. This better be good.
Denver really had been on a downslide. They were not the same team since the All-Star break.
My superpower, I think, is sleep. I'm a very good sleeper. I'm not a good napper.
LeBron James teams in game ones all time are 31-23. That's not a good number. Michael Jordan would never. I'm hoping, Bear, you have something in place in case you kick the bucket in the next couple of weeks.
My wife sort of knows I gamble, but like not really. Like she knows I gamble, but I don't think she like knows that I gamble. Mm-hmm. And she said to me, "Do you have to gamble every day?" Yes.
Because neither you nor I are well-versed in betting these sides and these series. I brought in one of my good friends, a good old NBA hardo, someone who I have known way back in the day of sitting next to him in the research room back in Bristol, Connecticut at ESPN. We were cutting our teeth way back when my main man Michael Freer, World B. Freer on Twitter, senior writer for Stat Factor, now co-host of the 48 Minutes podcast. Great to finally catch up with you, man. How you doing?
Chris, it's absolutely great to talk to you. It's been a long time. Missed our interaction together. That was a lot of fun back in Bristol. I mean, there was a lot of fun. There was a lot of horse racing we talked about, a lot of college sports we talked about. So it's really great to catch up with you. Yeah,
we might have shared a weekend afternoon or two at the old Bristol Auto Toto TV there. So we won't get into too many details there, but we will start. I guess with the overriding theme of the potential playoffs here, and that is just kind of I think a general assumption that it's inevitable we're going to get a Celtics Thunder NBA Finals. That's the chalk is if a chalk goes that way, that's what it's going to be. I know for a recent article that I did on FoxSports.com, both Chris Andrews at the South Point and John Murray at the Superbook will be more than happy if the finals were the Celtics and Thunder. Do you see this as a foregone conclusion that we're headed towards this matchup of the Celtics, who are the 2 seed in the East, and the Thunder, who set a record for scoring differential this year?
Well, it sure seems that way, doesn't it? I mean, you have the Thunder, who clearly were the best team in the NBA. They proved it over and over throughout the season. Every matchup, they seemed to rise up and dominate at times. And then you have Boston, the defending champions, and we didn't really read too much into the fact that they're the 2 seed because we just know how good they've been over the last couple of years. And, when you talk about in terms of efficiency, there are only 2 teams in the league that were top 5 in the league in both offensive and defensive efficiency, the Celtics and the Thunder. So it really makes sense that these would be the 2 popular choices. I'm not going to divulge right here at the top who my choice would be for either one, but we can get to that at the end. But it seems the logical choice would be those 2. Absolutely.
But it does feel like the team in the East to knock off Boston would be the Cavs. Is it the Lakers in the West? I know Houston's a 2 seed. I want to get to that series soon because I have a lot of questions about them being underdogs in the round 1 matchup. But is it the Lakers? Can the Lakers beat OKC? Is that possible?
I think it's possible, but I wouldn't rule it. I wouldn't go with it. I would favor Oklahoma City. I think the biggest deficiency for the Lakers, even before, especially since the Anthony Davis trade, was they're really weak on the inside. They do not have a lot of bigs. And after Holmgren got healthy for Oklahoma City, Holmgren and Hartenstein, they were putting in the lineup together. And the one big deficiency for Oklahoma City last season and before Holmgren got back was rebounding. And they've absolutely improved in the rebounding department there. So Oklahoma City would have a decided edge, I think, over the Lakers if a matchup ever came to be.
And that would potentially be the Western Conference Final because the Lakers 3 seed play Minnesota in the first round, and should they win out, that would potentially be it. But Geoff hit on it a little bit there. The Warriors, who won their play-in game, survived, blew a big lead, and wound up holding off Memphis the other night to lock up the 7th seed. They are now favored in the series over the 2 seed Houston Rockets. Do you think it's a little bit disrespectful that series price with the Warriors being somewhere around minus 175, I think, or so, 180, might even be somewhere around there, against a young Rockets team that's led by a head coach who has won an NBA title, by the way.
Oh, I definitely think it's disrespectful. I totally agree with that. There's a lot of reasons to like the Warriors, to see the Warriors being favored when you look at the fact that, after acquiring Jimmy Butler, they became a totally different team. Much better at the offensive end, much better at the defensive end. And Steph Curry really excelled with with Butler in the lineup, And the two of them together, 22-5, those two, the Warriors were when those two were in the lineup. So there's a lot to like about them. The Rockets, to me, if they're going to say the underdog in the betting matchup, I would totally take the Rockets. Great defensive team this season. And the last 5 weeks or whatever, they really became a solid offensive team. And you mentioned how they have a lot of young guys. Jalen Green, who I think would be the key factor for the Rockets in this series. But, they got a lot of veterans. Fred VanVleet won a title. They got Jeff Green, who doesn't see a whole lot of time, but he's there. And he's a championship winner back with the Nuggets. So they have Dylan Brooks, another veteran. They have a good mix of veterans to go along with the youngsters that we talked about. Jeff Green, Amen Thompson, and others there. Sengun is another young star. So, there's a lot going for the Rockets, I think. And if you got to give me money on the Rockets in this matchup, I'll take it.
Well, Rockets at a nice plus price. I like it.
We'll take it.
I just think the Warriors, man, over a 7-game series. I know round one they get more rest between the games, but it does feel like at the end of these games they're going to be tired, man. I know Houston have experience, but they're young and they're fresh. They're not going to be, it's the first round. It's not the conference finals. I think experience in NBA certainly does matter, but it doesn't even matter until the end of the postseason. You mentioned a surprise team that you might have a pick here to make the NBA Finals. Would it be the Clippers? So the Clippers feel like a team that everyone that's trying to pick a dark horse is on them. They play the Nuggets, but are they trustworthy? Kawhi, can he last the series? Is Harden going to not sort of fade in the middle of the postseason? Are the Clippers a viable team out west?
I think the Clippers are absolutely a viable team out west. Forget about for a second their personnel. Whatever. I'm a big Ty Lue fan. I think he's the best coach in the league. And I say this as a Mountaineer with Joe Mazzulla on the sidelines there up in Boston. I think Ty Lue is the best coach in the league. And you mentioned Kawhi Leonard. Their world got a whole lot better when Kawhi Leonard started playing, ramping up his minutes. We started seeing him play in back-to-back, which never happens. So he's taking this seriously. The whole team is taking this seriously. They had a good defense. Think about this. At the beginning of the year, we were talking on our own podcast. The Clippers were a laughing stock to us before the season. They lost Paul George. Kawhi Leonard wasn't healthy. We didn't know if he was going to come back or when. And they had just James Harden. We were like, well, how's this going to work out for them? And I said on our podcast in the preview, well, if they were going to do anything, it was going to be done with defense. Well, they've done it with defense or whatever. But in the last 5 weeks or so, they've had the best offense in the league, too, in terms of efficiency. So there's a lot of things going with them. And they're meeting, you couldn't ask to meet the Denver Nuggets had a better time. The dysfunction that's going on there in Denver, getting rid of their coach with 3 games to go. And Denver really had been on a downslide. They were not the same team since the All-Star break that we saw at the break. And they still Denver has never figured out what to do when Joker goes off the court. They get absolutely destroyed. They're about 20 points per 100 possessions better when Joker's on the court than off. For those who follow efficiency, where if that's not only is it the top on-off differential in the league, it's an astronomical number when you consider the level of talent that they're supposed to have in Denver, we're told. But when he's off the court, they just have nothing offensively. And I think the Clippers they're my pick. There are a lot of people's picks to win this series, but they're definitely my pick.
I want to ask a quick follow-up here. So the Jokic thing is interesting. So he goes out at the end of the first quarter. He sits about 6 minutes in the second quarter. And to your point, like, they don't score ever. I think that was supposed to be Westbrook's role, just not there. Is there a way to wager on that? Like, we know it's coming. You really don't want to bet the whole second quarter because he does come back in the second quarter. Is there a way to make money during that time he's on the court? I mean, he's on the bench.
Well, you're going to get plus money, that's for sure. That's a good question. Yeah. They haven't proven that they can they have anybody capable of picking up the look. They have talent too. It's a really unbelievable thing for them. They have talented players there. Jamal Murray, everybody talks about the NBA, should be an all-star at some point. He just hasn't gotten there yet. Aaron Gordon's quality. Christian Brown's had a great season for them. It really picking up where some players have stepped off, have left. So it's really an unusual thing to see the complete drop-off. I don't know where you would be able to find money. You certainly would find value, though. I know that.
You probably will be having to be relegated to some of those flash props that they show up, some of those live specials that those books sometimes pop up. But yeah, Mike, you're right about the Clippers and where we were on them at the start of the season to now. Will Hill, who'll be hopping on in the gambling group chat with us in a little bit. One of his bigger bets of the season was Clippers under. Season win total, and he got a number that was 7 wins better than what it closed at, and he still lost. So give the Clippers a ton of credit for yearing this thing out. And if we do get Clippers Thunder in round 2, that will be a hell of a series. But the other top seed, you kind of hit on it a little bit before with the Cavs, a team that really I don't think anybody saw this coming. Kenny Atkinson is more than probably going to be the heavy favorite for Coach of the Year. Is this a team that is built? You hear about they're a regular season type team. They're not really a playoff team. Is this a team that is built to win in the playoffs? Or are they just going to, despite having the home court against the Celtics, ultimately run up against what's just a better team? Or do they have a legit chance to beat the Celtics and make the finals?
Well, I'll tell you this. This is where I buried the lead there at the top, but this is my pick to come out of the East. They've been the best team in the East all season. I know Boston has top 5 in offensive efficiency, top 5 in defensive efficiency. The Cavaliers have a great starting 5. They have an outstanding starting 5. We were waiting for Evan Mobley to take that next step. Well, he did it this year. He became a really, really good player, all-star. Darius Garland has worked out tremendously with Donovan Mitchell. And we know Donovan Mitchell's history as a player overall in the playoffs. He's been fantastic. This is the best shooting team in the league by far. Number 1 in 2-point field goal percentage, number 2 in 3-point field goal percentage. If you go by effective field goal percentage, which for a lot of people out there, that's basically giving more value to the three-pointer. They had the most efficient shooting season, tied with last year's Pacers in NBA history. 57.8% was their percentage in effective field goal percentage. That's an unbelievably it's a historic number, obviously. So I like them. I think the one game, it's going back a ways, back in February, late February. They went up to Boston. We were all hyped up for this matchup. It was like a Friday night, and they go ahead and they fall behind 25-3 to the Celtics. And it just looked like, and we saw Jason Tatum making the little thumb sign about them. And what happened? They not only win the game, they win going away, win by 7. And that really, it's one game out of 82. I get it. And it's in late February. It's the end of February. So it's not that big a deal, but it was a big deal. It made people take notice more than before. There's a lot of reasons to like Boston, the championship pedigree. They were the best road team by a mile this season in the NBA. So they don't have any real issues going into Cleveland. I just think Cleveland is proving to be a better team from the start to the end, and I like them coming out of the East.
Mike, you might have seen me tilting my head and down and doing some things. One of the things that we like to do here is when we're sitting in the studio, as Geoff can tell, we like betting on things as we're doing in the middle of the show. So as you're saying, Clippers Warriors or Clippers Cavs is an NBA Finals matchup. It's 32-1 right now. So if we get a Clippers Cavs final, I owe you a Coke.
Hey, how many people had Dallas going to the finals last season?
Nobody.
Nobody did.
Nobody did. We all.
So on the same line of thinking, though, Finals MVP, SGA plus 190, Tatum plus 290, and then a big jump down to Mitchell at plus 1,000. If you think the Cavs are going to be in the NBA Finals, is plus 1,000 for Mitchell now a good wager?
I would think so. If you like Cleveland to make it to the finals, as I do, he's their best player. He's their superstar. He's be the best choice to come out of that team. Usually it goes to, assuming they can win. If you think Now, can they beat Oklahoma City? That's a different animal to me. I don't know yet. I would probably favor Oklahoma City in a matchup like that. But there's a lot to like for me about Cleveland. And if you like Cleveland like I do, yeah, that's a good match. That's a good bet for me.
We came in talking about an expected Celtics Thunder final, and we leave talking about the likelihood
Clippers and Cavs.
The long shot possibility of Clippers. Did you remember though? Like the Clippers were like the trendy team last year, and then just Kawhi was unable to play and move, and they fell apart. But maybe we are a year late on the Clippers, and everybody will. Who's picked them to win this series against the Nuggets? Be happy here and cash out, Mike. Appreciate you. Make sure you check out the 48 Minutes podcast. My man, world be freer. Mike, we'll talk to you again soon, bud. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much, guys. Great to see you, Chris.
Thanks again to my man Mike Freer for helping break down some of the NBA playoffs and some of the possibilities there. Now to help us break it down even more, and I'm sure we'll dive into some baseball, maybe some hockey, maybe some NFL draft. Who the hell knows where we're going to go from here? But we're one man down in the gambling group chat this week. We actually allowed Will Hill to take vacation, so he's traveling and unable to join us. So if it goes well, he may never be invited back. But Sammy, what's going on, man?
You're interrupting my viewership of White Sox athletics right now, Bear. This better be good.
So you're the one watching.
Yeah, beat the market too, but as we know, that doesn't always matter. I took plus 140, and now it's 1-0 A's in the bottom of the second. I'd be happy to give you play-by-play throughout the show.
There's nothing better than live play-by-play of a baseball game or a tennis match or a soccer match whenever we're recording these podcasts. But yeah, before we get into the NBA and whatever else, like I am having the damnedest time sleeping lately. It's like I'll wake up like at 3:30 in the morning, and I'll just be laying staring at the freaking sun or the ceiling for like an hour and a half. Like I've been trying melatonin. I've been trying anything. Like I've been logging on in the middle of the night. Like you guys ever had that issue where you just can't freaking get back to sleep? And if you did, like how'd you get out of it? Wow. No advice from my friends.
I don't know. I watch TikTok, go on Reddit, read something. I don't know. Go make a meal. My superpower, I think, is sleep. I'm a very good sleeper. I'm not a good napper. I'm a good, it's time for bed, put my head down, even during sporting events. As you guys know, I might be quick to bed some nights. You guys are texting me, taking wagers on whether or not I'm still awake for games. I'm normally sleeping.
Yeah, I'm a good napper.
I would hate to try and wake Geoff up from a slumber. That would probably be an issue.
Hell no.
I'd get a mitt right to the face too if I tried to wake him up. What are you pounding Coca-Cola before bed, Bear?
No, I'm not. See, I'm worried about I do like to down a Celsius or two every now and then, but not like after like 2 in the afternoon. That's like the latest. Like I don't know, man. I'll wake up and then I'll finally get back to sleep like at 5:30 or whatever. It's 6 before my wife is getting up to get ready for work, and then I'll fall asleep back again till like 10 in the morning. It sucks. I'm wasting so much of the day, but
that's why Bear doesn't ever answer us in the morning when we're following.
Exactly, that's kind of why I brought this up.
Last night's tweets, Bear just
I'll get
disappears in the
ridicule
morning
from your guys about Bear sleeping in today. Bear must have had a late night. But Bear's body's all out of whack. But
I mean, Will texted us this morning at like 6:24. I was awake. I was ready for the day.
Yeah,
Bear's sleeping over here.
Will had to get the kids up on vacation. Probably went to IHOP or something. Get a little or Denny's for a little Grand Slam. But anyway, enough of my sleeping habits or lack of sleeping habits. I just thought I'd try and get some advice from you guys. So I'll just keep with the scrolling through social media during the middle of the night. Maybe we'll make some bets, and maybe we'll make some bets on the NBA playoffs. Something that I think, Sammy, a lot of people are just under the assumption we're going to get Celtics Thunder. You made the joke last week or a couple weeks ago about how someone was telling you if you had $100, you're going to bet the Lakers or the Warriors, and they were saying, just save the $100 and just put it on the Thunder. Do you think that this Celtics Thunder NBA final matchup is a foregone conclusion, or do you think the one seed in the East, Cleveland, can upset the apple cart, or is there someone in the West that you think might be able to beat OKC in a 7-game series?
Barring injury, I think the Celtics are going to walk into the NBA Finals, and that's no disrespect toward Cleveland. I just think Boston's roster is so much better, and they're also playoff tested. That means a lot to me in the NBA. It used to mean a lot more. But Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Derek White, that's the best 5 in basketball. Even though they don't have home court, I'm not too concerned. And Cleveland's been a really, really good team this year. I don't believe it until I see it. I don't believe it until I see them knock out Boston in a best of 7. As for the West, Oklahoma City wins 68 games this year. And I don't know what more they could have done to convince people that they're legit. A lot of people are saying, well, they're too young, or well, this, or well, that. The gap between one and the rest is staggering. They win 68, and then the next 5 teams, 52, 50, 50, 50, 49. So a lot of average in the West. I still think they can be beaten, though. I think the West is deeper. There are certainly more landmines. That's not a fun 1-4 or 1-5 if it's Denver or the Clippers. And the Clippers, there's another angle for you. The Clippers were 30-1 to win the West 6 weeks ago, and now they're 10-1 in a couple places. So they've gotten a bunch of financial support. It's a much tougher road. But every smart person that I talk to says it's Boston and Oklahoma City, and that's boring. People don't want to hear that. They also want to bet bigger places. They want to bet teams that are 8-1, 9-1, 10-1 to do things. But it's probably going to be Boston and Oklahoma City, Bear. That's a cop-out answer, but everybody that I respect is saying the same thing.
You mentioned that series, the Clippers, rather, the Western Conference price gone down quite a bit. Like, I haven't heard one person pick the Denver Nuggets to win that series yet. We saw the Nuggets open at like minus 160 or 170 in that range in the series, flipped all the way over and out. Now the Clippers are favored in that series. Do you think that move is too much? Do you think the opener was just wrong? Where do you stand on Denver and the Clips?
This feels about right. I think the market has clearly made it be known that people don't believe Jamal Murray is healthy. And that's the only way. I mean, you're not going to write something 80 cents down off the open in a series market. That just doesn't happen if everything were fair on both sides. So first number I saw was minus 190, actually. And that didn't last. Yeah. I mean, most places open, to your point, about $1.60, $1.70. And here we are, minus 110 each way. It doesn't appear like there are a lot of people that believe Murray is healthy. Not to mention, Nuggets just fired their coach. But I have made many decisions in the past that are a lot smarter than betting on James Harden to be a playoff performer. So it's a pass at minus 110, and I'm certainly not going to come in and jump onto the end of the train and bet them 10-1 to win the West.
Well, that's the thing about the Clippers, right? Like, are they trustworthy now? Are we finally believing in them? And I think that's the question, right? If Kawhi gets hurt again at any point, that's the end of it, right? The question I have, I guess, is can the Lakers do it, right, guys? The Lakers front court, we know, probably will struggle in the postseason, but can they outscore every team they play? Can they get enough stops when they have to? Now, they beat the Thunder about a week ago in a must-win game for the Lakers for certain. So they can, they want to be the 3 seed. Anyone have any hope in the Lakers being able to do so? I don't. I took the Lakers at plus 290 to lose in the conference finals. I think they get by the Wolves. They get by the Rockets, who I think do beat the Warriors. We'll talk about that in a second, I would imagine. And they lose to the Thunder. I think the Lakers do get to the conference finals, though.
Are we overlooking this Minnesota team a little bit here, just with what they can do with Ant-Man? I know they had the great comeback last year in Game 7 against Denver in a series. It looked they were catted out and done and came back and won, and then really laid an egg against the Mavs in the Western Conference Finals last year. Like, is this just a too much offense with LeBron and Luka, or are the T-Wolves a live dog here? I guess is ultimately what I want to say. What do you think, Sammy?
I did bet a little plus 180 the other day. I was able to get a nice shot that offered me minus $2 and plus 180. You don't see that every day. So I pounced on that, and this opened a little bit lower. Lakers about $1.60. It's really can anybody stop Ant? That's the big question I have, and I don't think there's an answer. Are you going to put LeBron at his age on Anthony Edwards? Okay, good luck, I guess. And then there's that faction of people that will say, well, all you do is pick the team with more stars. And that's the Lakers at this point with Luka and LeBron. I always think it's much tougher for the team that made that drastic move to make a deep run. You almost never see that. I mean, just ask the Phoenix Suns how that worked out, putting Durant and Booker and Bradley Beal together with only one basketball, by the way, Bear. Not a good idea. So I'm on Minnesota. I really like that bet on them in game one as well. We were talking about this this morning with Joe. Lakers have been bet down from 5 to 4. So T-Wolves getting some action in game one on the road. LeBron in game ones, and I covered a lot of LeBron when I was in Chicago, whether it was with Miami or Cleveland. He'd come into town a lot. Those teams would often see each other. And LeBron usually struggled in game one. Maybe the effort wasn't there. He didn't really care oftentimes about game one. LeBron James teams in game ones all time are 31 and 23. That's not a good number, considering the fact that he's usually on the better team. Yep, that's usually favored, you know? So that's, I mean, look, he's not picking games against the spread. He's trying to win basketball games. 31 and 23 is a good football season for some. 31 and 23 in game ones is not good. And just for context, here's a hot take. Michael Jordan would never. Jordan was 27 and 10 in game ones all time. LeBron 31 and 23. You can get the guy early. The problem is a lot of teams can't get him in 4, 5, 6, and 7.
I do wonder, though, Sammy, with Luka, though, just taking over games, if that's not a concern anymore for LeBron in game one. They just let Luka just do what he does, and LeBron's there as a secondary piece in a lot of the moments. And the thing about the first series for the Lakers specifically is they get rest, right? It's these series tend to be a little bit longer. There's more days off. And the longer the postseason goes, I think the tougher it is for the Lakers. I think the same is true for the Warriors. I do think that the series, I'm on the Rockets against the Warriors. I think this number is a little disrespectful. I think if you take away the Warriors' name, this number is not what it is. But the more the Warriors have to play, I think, the deeper the series goes, the more tired they're going to be. And I do believe that, obviously, their championship pedigree will show at some points. But do you guys agree that, like, the longer the series goes, the less good I feel about the Warriors beating the Rockets?
The longer it goes. So you're saying they got to clip them early. You got to put.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I feel the same way about Minnesota. If Minnesota doesn't get a split in Los Angeles, it's probably over. But if you go back to Minnesota and it's 1-1, now we're talking. But I think there's going to be a lot of support for Minnesota in game one, which will then in turn, if Minnesota can win the first game, it makes the Lakers now minus 110, minus 115 to win the series. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. The people that are betting Minnesota to win game one or cover game one will then flip and go to Los Angeles, because sharps don't overreact to one game, even though the public might. Sharps don't care. Sharps are going to bet a good number. So that Minnesota line from game one goes from 4.5. I don't know what the number would be in game two. It could be even bigger, I guess.
I would think it'd be 6 or so, probably.
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
The Lakers are in the must-win at home game 2. Yeah,
sure,
it'll be higher than that.
But I would imply that would be the time as soon as Minnesota wins game one, if they do, to hop on the Lakers to win the series, and that'll go from minus 190 to minus 110, and that is when you'll see support for the Lakers to win the series after a game one loss.
I know. Mike Freer, who we had earlier, he could certainly get behind a Rockets bet at plus money in that series as well. And you were talking about like the 3-6 series with the Lakers and the Timberwolves, and then obviously the Knicks and the Pistons in the East. One of the things that I know Will, who obviously is not here with us, is very high on doing is he likes to bet the underdog in this series to win in 6 games. Because he's like, odds are they're not going to win in 5. They're not going to get 2 wins on an opponent's home court. Odds are you're not going to win a game 7 on the road to win the series. If you're going to win the series, odds are you're going to win it in 6 games. So I know he was really high on on the Pistons beating the Knicks in 6 games. And I would imagine that if he's a Lakers fan, so I'm sure he didn't bet against the Lakers, but it probably is some value as well in betting the Timberwolves potentially to win in 6 and get game 6 in Minnesota over the Lakers. But the one series here that I think has the most venom and is probably the spiciest is the Pacers and Bucks. Obviously, we know from Shams that Dame is going to be out game 1, and it appears that there's a chance they could get him back potentially later in the series. The Pacers have been very good lately in the East, and I think a lot of people are probably surprised to see the Pacers favored in this series over Milwaukee. But Sammy, this is not the same Bucks team that we saw win the title a couple of years ago.
And no Middleton, too. I mean, he was a huge part of that equation. You know, he was playing at a very high level, and just not the case anymore, obviously. So I haven't made a single bet in this series. The side has moved up, though. Game 1, Indiana 4.5 out to 6 at Chris right now. Totals come down a little bit, which I guess makes sense. Milwaukee ideally is going to keep you out of the paint and make you make tough shots, but Indiana can do that. So should be a good series. I haven't put a single dollar on it.
I might look at some overs for the Pacers series. That's what I did a lot last year because they score a bunch of points and don't always play the best defense. But I got nothing. Look, unless Lillard plays, I don't know if I have much for this series.
Yeah, I think a lot of my thought. I mean, because you really look. I don't know what would really be surprising you outside of whoever winds up being the 8 seed, whether Memphis or Dallas or then Atlanta or the Heat upsetting the number 1 set. Like I don't like if you tell me the Pistons beat the Knicks, I wouldn't be surprised. You tell me the Timberwolves beat the Lakers, these series, especially in the West, seem really, really balanced. And I think it probably creates a little bit of an opportunity with these NBA Finals exactas. I mean, I have been loading up on Celtics Thunder all year. I have a couple of Cavs Thunder. I have a couple of Celtics Lakers. Like I have a couple of those, and you probably could still get some good matchups there. I think that might be a way to try and play some of this to just if you feel really strongly about either OKC or the Celtics, try and match them up in a couple of these NBA Finals exactas and try and get a little bit more bang for your buck.
Now, I don't know if you saw the story, but did anybody see what happened with the guy who had the futures and he passed away?
Okay. Yes.
No, I missed this.
Oh, Bear. So, all right, I'll make a long story short. Ryan Butler had the story on X. Great follow at Butler Bets. There's a gentleman who passed away. He had $100,000 in future bets on Boston. And he bet them to win the East at plus 350 and win the title at plus 450. Now, we didn't get a fair shakedown of how it was split up, but let's call it 50,000, 50,000, right. Whatever. Plus 350 to win the East. They're now minus 130.
Yep.
And 450 to win the title. You're lucky to find a 2-1.
Right.
So the spouse finds out that the husband's got all this money and she's like enraged. So she reaches out, she goes through Gaming Control that goes to the sports book and says she wants the money back. So what happens? It goes to the book. They see the payout and go, "Yep, you can have it back."
Go.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. So I think it was like if you did the math right, it would have been $225,000 to win the East and $175,000 to win the title. Or I may have had those inverted. But we're talking about a potential pot of $400,000. And clearly the spouse doesn't know like what all that means. But if these were bets on the Pelicans or what the Bulls,
nope,
you're not getting that back.
Nope, all bets are action.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, Bear, you have something in place in case you kick the bucket in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
gotta have a contingency
plan.
Nothing in
place. I have nothing in place anymore after Florida won the college basketball championship and Rory won the Masters.
Oh boy,
Oberg is dead to me.
It's so funny you say that though, because I've thought about that at times, like one of those things where like, what if something happens to you, like you need the person to like hit the implode cell phone, implode computer, and just blow everything up and like get rid. But at the same time, it's like, do you want to leave your significant other, like your passwords for these betting sites to, hey, yeah, I'm dead. You can't judge me anymore, but you might want to just take a look at this because there might be something pretty waiting for you there at the end of the rainbow.
All I'm going to
Okay.
say would be very careful here. I was taught when I was very young, you ride or die. She's not riding. She is not.
All right. And here's the question, I guess. So, like, my wife sort of knows I gamble, but like not really. Like, she knows I gamble, but I don't think she like knows that I gamble.
Mhm.
Like, for example, I can't do Sammy's favorite thing on this recorder, which is make wagers as we talk, because I'm in a state in South Carolina
We're
right
in a
now
bad
that
state.
doesn't allow it to happen. And I can drive 20 minutes to North Carolina, and I may or may not have done that a couple times on vacation to place a wager. I told my wife I was doing that, and she said to me, "Do you have to gamble every day?"
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So like, she doesn't even get it. I don't even know if I passed away, she would have any idea about the apps or how to get into my accounts, or I think she just let it just whatever's in there is in there. And, part of the story is I think after a while, they just sort of, your money just disappears off the app. I think after you don't claim it for a certain number of years, the sportsbook companies just take it back for themselves. And the other part of this too, Sam, is interesting, is they had to go to the Massachusetts, I think, and ask for them to give the money back. Like, was it okay for them to do that? And they agreed that it would be fine if the spouse asked for it back. So, an interesting story that, will have ripple effects possibly if other people pass away with a lot of money in futures tickets.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to go up to Massachusetts and potentially take some of that money then from them. We can go up to Massachusetts, bet some NFL draft props as we move along here. Unless anybody else had some any other thoughts on the NBA playoffs.
No, or death pool. None of that. I'm good. We can move.
How's the A's game going right now, Sammy?
Good guys are down 1-0, but it's only the third.
Oh, we're
a lot
opposite
of
sides
paper,
here.
lot of paper left there on the south side.
There's nobody in the building either. There's like 20 people in the outfield.
Anyway, NFL draft props. We keep hearing all this potential. Geoff's teasing us, by the way, with what he's working on for his next mock draft. About I don't want to steal his thunder. You have to read it once it comes out. But all this buzz this week about Shedeur working out for the Giants and Milroe working out for the Giants and quarterbacks in the Browns. Like maybe they like what do we? I think personally, the end game here is that the Browns are not taking a quarterback at 2. The Giants are not taking a quarterback at 3. This is all about maybe figuring out if a guy is available and they can get back into the first round cheaply. Late, I think that's probably what it is. Like if you're a Browns fan and the organization says that, okay, we drafted Travis Hunter at 2 and we drafted Shedeur Sanders at 21 or what, I'm just making up a number. Like, you'd be happy with that. If you're a Giants fan and you've got Dangerous and Jameis is your quarterbacks right now, and okay, at 3 we draft Abdul Carter, and then at 25 or whatever we draft whomever, Tyler Shuck, Jalen Milroe. You got a quarterback and you got an impact defensive player. Like, I think it's about that. I don't think this is about either of those guys going high. So I'd still be looking at the overs for Shedeur to be it's really juiced high now, over 8.5.
The problem is the juice is the juice on these props is taking the player over unders is just, I mean, look at them this morning. It's not worth it. I mean, Sammy gave out Loveland a couple weeks ago at 19.5, and I'll let Sammy, I guess, brag about that number moving. Like, that was a decent price. You look at these right now, and they're unbettable. They're unwagerable because you just, it's minus 235, minus 240, minus 350 right now. The favorites
like
are all
over 8.5 was like close to $3, isn't it?
It's minus 310 right now. Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens there is there's no defense against the info. And unlike in a basketball game, when the favorite opens -5 and gets bet to 7 or 8, there's a wise guy or group of wise guys that are like, all right, let's take the 8. There's nobody saying, let's bet Shedeur under at plus 220. That's not how it works in the draft. So what these books have to do, once they take a couple limit bets, They just make it so expensive to where people are saying what Geoff is saying. And I understand. I'm not trying to lay 310 on a draft prop. Loveland is, not only did he get juiced, the number came down a whole position. So he's 18.5 now, under minus 250. That's one of the 3 bets I put up at Fox. They were asking, how many draft bets can you make? And I go, well, I'll give you 3. That was one of them. The second one was Mikel Williams. Old biblical spelling there, Mykel, throws me off. So he was 15.5 under minus 20, and that is now minus 240 under. So, I mean, some of these they move, and then the position number comes down. How about Kelvin Banks Jr., guys? Yep. His over under, I remember seeing him at like 22, 23.5, and now he's 13.5 under minus 70. And I'll tell you what, I still wouldn't bet the over. At this point, I mean, we'll be Quay Walker from 40.5 to 33.5. He goes 22. Yep. Stingley Jr. from 11.5 to 5.5. He goes third. Oftentimes these moves are still true, even though the market has moved a handful of positions or more.
And I think the Banks move, especially, like you look at the tackles, and I think there's some people that see him potentially being a guard long term in the league. Like you look at the offensive line group, and it's not the best unit, best like blue chip type prospects that you're going to have. Geoff, correct me if I'm wrong here with any of the bullshit that I'm spewing, but it's not seen as like an elite group like we've had in the past. You're probably going to get some nuts and bolt type starters, but because of that, it's still a premium position that you need production. You need to plug in holes, and because of the scarcity, you're probably going to see some of these guys go higher than they should.
Yeah, and this is my argument for Membu going to the Raiders instead of taking Ashton Genty, right? Mm-hmm. So
I'm all for that.
He'd be the second offensive lineman. I think it's $550 right now to be for the Raiders to draft an offense. It was plus 800 yesterday. It's down to 310, but exact position sixth, I believe, is around. I got a 5-1 today on that. Here's why, right? Like to your point, Bear. This is an offensive line draft where you're going to have a handful of offensive tackles that are impactful now and like 2 interior guys, right? Gray Zabel and Tyler Booker. Like that's about it. And this is a draft that's deep with running back. If you're the Raiders at 6, okay, are you taking Ashton Genty at 6? Who's going to run behind? Like, do you think DJ Glaze is your future right tackle? Certainly can happen, but you can get Membu at 6 and then get a running back in the second round. This is a hugely deep running back class. And I actually think there's a scenario where Genty doesn't even go till 12 with the Cowboys. And the same line of thinking can be the same way down, right? At 6, they say, you know what, offensive lineman. The Bears at 10 go, you know what? Maybe a pass rusher or tight end is better for team building. We'll get a running back in the second round. Now, I don't think Jerry Jones will pass up Ashton Genty here, Sammy, but I think there's certainly a case to be made that he does drop out of the top 10.
With the running backs in totality, first round. So this number is 2.5, and the under is minus 210. The one guy that's going to swing this market, obviously, is Ohio State's TreVeyon Henderson. And I've seen a couple mocks put him in the top 32. I'm curious where Schwartz 1.0 is, and even more curious where Schwartz 2.0 will be. Is Henderson first round, yes or no?
No. The back half of the draft, I don't see. I mean, the Chiefs could do it at 31, but everyone has to take an offensive tackle. I don't think Henderson's making the first round. I can't imagine. I think 2 is probably about right? Hampton goes to the Broncos. I think outside of Cam Ward, the most mocked pick is Hampton going 20 to the Broncos, right? I mean, everyone else,
just don't go 19.
Hunter 2. Some people have Carter 2. Some people like it just, but I think that the intrigue to me, and we talked about this for weeks, is where Sanders goes, right? If it's not 2 or 3, it's probably not 9 with the Saints, and then the fall happens. And does Pittsburgh at any point say, you know what, let's go up and get him? Do they wait to 21? They want Jackson Dart, and then the domino of that could be the bottom of the first round, the Chiefs and the Eagles trading out if someone trades up, like the Browns or the Giants back in the first round for a Tyler Shuck or Jackson Dart, just to have that 5th-year option.
And we're looking at the Vikings and the Falcons with 4 and 5 picks each. So I mean, those are very possible landing spots for teams to potentially move back up into the first round, because certainly those two teams will be looking for more picks. Yeah, I'm just going through. It's almost like I can't decide like where the draft begins at whatever, because I think we're gonna go Ward, Hunter, Carter, Campbell, and then at 5, do the Jaguars take Mason Graham, and then 6, everyone thinks they're going to take Genty. We don't think they should. So it's kind of like a where does the draft really begin? Maybe ultimately it'll wind up beginning at 7. And I think the Jets are going to take Tyler Warren, the tight end. I think they were close to taking Brock Bowers last year. You see the impact the tight end had on the offense in Detroit, where Aaron Glenn came from. They've invested offensive line prime draft picks the last couple of years. I think drafting another offensive lineman is not going to get the fan base excited. You've got a quarterback who can't really throw. You need to get him a weapon. So I like Tyler Warren to the Jets at 7. The other thing we were talking about trading back in, have either of you seen, again, the props that have been out there have been kind of few and far between, and they'll show up, they'll get taken down, but 2.5 is what we've seen for the quarterback number. And obviously the juice now is through the roof to the over. Has anybody seen a 3.5? I'm curious what over 3.5 would be, because I don't think it's unreasonable, or I think there is a non-zero chance that we wind up with 4 quarterbacks in the first round here.
I have not seen 3.5, and I can assure you from that side of the counter, there's no rush to go there because, I mean, seriously, there's a potential to get middled there. You know, if you got over 2.5 and then you write nothing but under 3.5 and it lands 3, you're going to lose. Granted, limits aren't big, and even a book like Circa, a huge market making book, as of 3:09 p.m. Eastern, as we tape this, they still don't have their props up, and we're a week away from the draft. And when they put theirs up, their max is 300. So it's not like we could come in and bet nickels and dimes on this stuff, but yeah. I would be surprised, Geoff, if we saw a 3.5, only because they've been at 2.5 for so long and clearly written a bunch of over money. I think the last thing they want to do is move to 3.5 and then potentially get middle.
I just think there's zero chance we get 4. I mean, that's probably why they don't even go there, right? I mean, look at the draft. Like, if we, let's just say Shadur Sanders even goes higher than we think, and Pittsburgh's at 21, and they take Jackson Dart. The rest of the first round is not drafting a quarterback. And then round 2 starts with the Browns and the Giants. Like, they don't have to trade up to get a quarterback. And the reason they would trade back up, obviously, would be that 5th year of control.
Right, which is why you do it.
Right. But it actually, we say that a lot, and it's like rarely happened. Like, the Ravens did it. Anyone else who's traded up in the first round for that? We say that a lot. I'm not saying you're wrong, Bear. I agree with that idea. It just doesn't happen ever. So I just don't know if they're going to go up and do that, because if you're that good, right, as a quarterback, you're getting that deal in your 4th year anyways. So that 5th year option is like pointless. Now you can work off of that structurally for a contract extension, but so I just don't know. 4 feels like a lot. It does feel like a lot for this draft.
See, I think we're getting 3 for sure. I think we're getting Sanders, Dart, and Ward obviously for sure. And I think there's a really good chance we get, again, call me conspiracy theorist, whatever. Why is Jalen Miller going to be in Green Bay? And you're going to see just so we can see him on camera in the green room all night long. Jalen Miller, he's here and he still hasn't gotten taken. Will he go tonight? Like they're not going to put the kid through that, I don't think, unless they have some type of information.
I think what you need to do, Bear, is use your platform, use your power, and just demand that somebody put that up, or at least offer it to you. And then you can benefit. I mean, they'd probably give you, I'm going to guess, not that I'm an odds maker, but I do play one on this show sometimes.
The Book of Sammy.
I'm going to guess if you wanted to go over 3.5 quarterbacks, you'd get about 4-1.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Give me 250 on. I'll take 250 on it.
The under would be -600-700. It would have to be.
Yeah. I'll so who wants to give me plus 400 at 250? 250 to win 1,000. I'll take that.
Nah, too much. I'd spin the wheel. I'd spin the wheel and then kick you out, Bear. Spin the wheel. Move the market.
Bear, your boy Mario Cristobal is going to have the first pick in the draft and the 6th pick in the draft for quarterback in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Pretty
And
remarkable.
next year Carson Beck could go in the first round too. How about that?
Yeah,
We'll,
that feels
we'll
a little
thank Shannon
far-sighted.
Dawson for Cam Ward going number one this year.
That's crazy. I never would have pegged Mario as having 2 quarterback draft in the top 6 in the last 5 years, but he's done a good job with those guys. They're ready to go.
Okay, let me throw something out there. I know what you guys are both going to say, but Cam Ward right now is being priced like Caleb Williams and Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow, and mathematically, I'm just not there. Is it stupid? And again, I know the answer. Is it stupid to bet Abdul Carter for peanuts at 35-1 to go first?
Well, I already have him at 31-1 from back in October. And in my mock that I'm going to be releasing probably Monday, maybe, I don't know, whenever I get it done, I like literally the first line in there that I wrote is Cam Ward. If I were making this pick for the Titans, I would not be taking Cam Ward. I would be taking Abdul Carter. And I go into all the reasons why. So I am not going to yell at you and tell you no, Sammy, because I already have that ticket. But I don't think it's the worst play. Geoff is going to tell you they're taking Cam Ward. They're not taking a defensive lineman with a foot injury, number one, though. Geoff's going to say all those bad words about you.
I'm going to tell you that Bear has said some mean things to me about my mock drafts in our group text. Now, all of a sudden, I learned Bear's doing a mock draft. Very, very hurtful, Bear, for the things you said about my mock draft.
I had my arm twisted.
Well, it's a mock draft season at Fox Sports. Sammy, you doing one? You should actually call all the bookmakers and do one just straight what bookmakers tell you. Just right down the line.
My mock draft comes out Friday. Day after the first round. I'm going to be the first guy to get them all right in the first round ever.
I do. These guys that do like 7-round mock drafts, they have my full admiration. Doing a first-round mock draft, like once you get past, I'm almost done writing mine. Like pick 12. It's like I mean, it's not like I'm calling every general manager around the league asking what they're picking. You're just sort of guessing. I mean, and to do 7 rounds, like you're going off your big board, I guess, right? You grade all the players and you're going off of that. Last thing on the draft, quickly. There is Ashton Genty to the Jaguars team happening, like as we're talking.
I've heard
some
that.
mock drafts to come out. Dane Brugler of the Athletic.
That would not be good for your boy.
He's a great draft guy. He has him up there. Daniel Jeremiah will put his last one out soon. So will Schrager. Like these guys are going to put their final ones out who we trust in this business. I think that's silly, but there's more noise about Genty going 5 now.
That would not be good for your boy. It's the Jaguars. They can do anything.
Yeah, but they have a 34-year-old general manager who came from the Rams, who basically the Rams just disregarded draft picks for like 7 years in a row.
Correct.
To the last couple of years. I don't
and they've
see
also
him
won a Super Bowl in that span. So
immediately coming in and drafting a running back at 5th overall with all the needs Jacksonville has.
You would think it would be crazy, but I mean, who the hell knows? I mean, we'll have an opportunity next week to kick this around with Todd McShay when he joins us on the Bear Bets podcast with his little final mock as well. Any NHL playoff bets for you guys?
I do have an NHL bet, but I also want to give. I teased my 3 bets and I only gave 2. So
we got Williams, Loveland, and there was one other one. I'm sorry.
So this one's plus money, and it's moving a little bit, which shows that I might have a little bit of juice. Wink, wink. But this is a market with first wide receiver that isn't Travis Hunter, and BetMGM has it right now. So McMillan's minus 250. Matthew Golden was plus 170 at the time of the article being posted. It's come down a little bit, $1.60 now, but the combination of Tet having some things that scouts don't like, whether it be his lack of speed or his makeup. I mean, not my words. I've read and talked to people that are down on some of the things off the field. I think he's going to be a good receiver, but I don't think he should be minus 250. And Golden is your NFL speed burner, right? He's the guy that can do what you need him to do down the field. And that's the modern day NFL. Get the ball to a guy with speed and get out of his way. And he's plus 160 to be the first receiver taken. I think that should be closer to like plus 120, plus 125. So that's a longer shot. The other bets are a lot juicier, as Geoff alluded to, with the Loveland and the Williams and all that. But I think Golden is very live to go maybe even 12 to the Cowboys and maybe sneak over McMillan to be the first receiver taken that is not Travis Hunter.
Yeah, you can see that totally being a Cowboys pick. University of Texas wide receiver, speed burner, any offense. You get Dak back. You can totally see that happening. Where are you going on the ice? I'm curious now.
So I bet the Blues to win their series in the first
It's
round.
Winnipeg?
Yeah, I mean the President's
get?
Trophy winner has not been great over the last decade or so. I got plus 195 on St. Louis. That's a team that was 10-1 to make the playoffs on New Year's Day. They're playing in the outdoor game against the Blackhawks. They made the coaching change, and they've been one of the better teams in hockey.
They score a lot of goals.
They also, I mean, they've got Binnington, who, you know, what's the old adage? Don't let the hot goalie get hot. He has quite literally done this in the past. He's a little older in the tooth now, but that's a guy that could at least win you a series or two if everything breaks right. So I'm on St. Louis first round plus 195.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'm trying to convince myself. Again, I don't know if I'm going to ultimately get there. Like, I feel like the scene there in the Simpsons where he's up on the board. Like, I will not talk myself into taking the Senators against the Leafs. I will not talk myself into taking the Kings against the Oilers. But do you think either of those dogs might be live?
The Kings,
Dreisaitl's not healthy. He's going to play. I think he's going to come back for game one. That's the report. But that's a team that just isn't at full strength right now. McDavid's been a little bit banged up. Now he came back as of late, but they've got several guys that are banged up right now. And, you know, when you look at an Oilers team that went all the way to the Stanley Cup final last year, and the following season, they're only $1.20 favorite in that first round series, that tells you a lot. There are two teams that are very, very perplexing in terms of price. Edmonton and then the champs. Both of those teams are minus 120. Now, granted, they don't have home
Tampa
ice
in that series.
They don't have home ice, but there's going to be a lot of people that go, oh, Florida's good. Oh, Edmonton's good. All I got to do is lay $1.20. Watch one of them lose, if not both.
I did play Tampa in that series. Florida's another team that they have a bunch of injuries, and the Lightning have been very, very good. Two teams that have been sneaky good this year that have gotten very little run to be a cup title. A cup winner, Tampa in the East, they've won it in the past before, and Vegas, who's won it in the past. Everyone's enamored, and rightly so, with the Stars and the Avs. It's funny, you've got the Stars, who are the favorite to win the Stanley Cup, as a small dog in the series against the Avs. Like it's wild, man. That is a great first round series. I wish it wasn't a first round series, but curious to see. We're gonna lose a couple of big dogs very early on in the series from both the Panthers, Lightning, and Avs Stars.
Well, and also Florida, Geoff, they've played into June 2 years in a row. They lose in the final 2 years ago. They win the final last year. I covered a couple Blackhawk teams. You know, the 13 team wins the cup. The 14 team loses in Game 7 of the West Final. The 15 team wins the cup. The 16 team was dead. They were out of gas. So what does Florida do in another potential deep run situation where you got to go all the way back? 2 years in a row, they got the cup final. That's a lot of hockey in a very short period of time, guys.
Yeah, two trends to note, by the way, for if you're looking just to do something in this series, that the Kings just don't allow goals in the first period. So if you like the Kings in this series, that might be an Oilers under half a goal essentially in the first period of some of these games. Also, if there's a shutout in the first period, 0-0, second period over hits quite often. Now, the problem is you have to lay a lot, like minus 180, minus 200 on second period over on a lot of these ones. But the second period over after two teams are shut out in the first period is a good wager. Again, it's heavy juice. So it might be too expensive at some moments, but just note a couple of those trends heading into the postseason.
Hockey, Geoff, I love it. See, I started the group chat with like my sleep deprivity, and now the worst is the NHL Playoffs, because I'm going to be up at 2 a.m. watching Edmonton and the Kings in a late night playoff game. But I love it. NHL Playoffs for me are right up there. As a kid who grew up on Long Island in the midst of the Islanders dynasty. So, Sammy, we appreciate you. Will, I'm not sure. We reserve judgment as to whether we're going to bring Will back next week for the.
He did post a nice picture of barbecue yesterday, though.
I
feel like that should get him back.
It made me very jealous. But maybe if he brings some back for us, then he can then he's welcome back. But Sammy, appreciate you. We'll talk to you again next week.
You got it.
All right, Bear, back from a Gamma group chat with Sammy. We talked a little basketball earlier. You have a baseball wager for your best bet. Let's hear it.
Yeah, and I was debating between two to make as my best bet. So if you don't want one, I'm going to give you two. I'm going to cheat.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you one with a minus sign and one with a plus sign.
Okay.
The one with the plus sign that wasn't the official one that I gave is I was unaware that it even existed, but I guess there is a market for like the comeback player of the year in baseball. And I bet Dustin May at plus 600 to be comeback player of the year in the National League. And I think it's down to like 500 or 550 now, last time I looked. I know you've got Sandy Alcantara. I know you've got Ronald Acuna Jr. I know you've got Spencer Strider there in the NL, but Dustin May nearly died. And he has been fantastic in his first couple of starts this year. He's going to be on a Dodgers team that is going to win 100 games and be in the playoffs. If not only coming back from the near death scare that he had, as well as a pitching injury, I'm going to go with Dustin May at plus 500, 550, 6-1 comeback player of the year in the National League as my 1B best bet. But the 1A best bet, it's something that I think we might have talked about in the past. I know I've talked about it elsewhere, and I think I wrote it up in the column on FoxSports.com, is the Rockies. And we just alluded to it as well. Rockies' worst record in the league, minus 165 now. It's about as high as you're probably going to want to go because we know the White Sox are bad too. But the Rockies, I think, as of this recording, I think they're 3-14. They've scored the fewest runs in the league. They've got a brutal run differential. They've got a division with the Giants, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Snakes. How are they winning games? Their pitching staff has been okay, but their bats have been terrible. Finally, last night, Michael Toglia finally hit his first home run of the year as they came back against the Dodgers and lost 8-7. Probably was the most runs they scored all year. But like, it was funny. I was joking with someone like, what do we want to set for a combined win total on the Rockies and the White Sox? Like, is like 85.5? Is that too high? Like too low? Like 89.5? Like I don't know. Both these teams just stink. But I'm going to go Rockies worst record in the league.
So Sammy told us in our baseball preview this year, Bear, that the Rockies would have basically the worst bullpen in the entire sport, right? Like, and so I listened to him. I've been tailing him on taking the Rockies opponent's team total over every night. It's been profitable. The Dodgers hit it last night in the first inning. they had scored 7 runs, and woke up this morning and saw they only won 8-7. I was kind of surprised by that. The Rockies think about the division too. The Giants are really good so far. So the Padres, the Diamondbacks are about to sweep the Marlins as we're talking right now. Like it's a tough division. They haven't played, I don't think, any division games yet. So they still have an entire division
other than the
Dodgers. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like it's gonna be bad. All right, Bear. My best bet. I did a little switcheroo from what I sent in. So we're going to go with my new one. I do think the Rockets, by the way, to lose in the second round at plus 310 is not a bad wager. But I'm going Lakers here. Stage of elimination, conference finals at plus 290. Bear, I think it's pretty simple, right? I think they're going to beat Minnesota. I think they're going to beat Houston. And they're going to lose to OKC. Like, that's a totally normal Lakers path. And plus 290 to lose in the series, essentially, is going to be a better price than what you get when this series kicks off, right? I mean, OKC Los Angeles, what are you going to get for series price? Plus 175?
Probably more than that. I don't think they'll get $3, but I think it'll be more than 175.
200? It's the Lakers tax,
200
right?
probably.
Yeah, because you have the same as the Warriors. I think the price to get a Warriors tax in the Warriors Rockets series, right? So Lakers losing conference finals plus 290. I'd be surprised if they lost before then. I'd be super surprised if they beat OKC.
I like it. NBA best bet from a man, Geoff.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're back next week. Solely, we'll kick it around main focus with the NFL draft, which I mentioned before, with Todd McShay. Appreciate Mike Freer joining us, kick around the NBA playoffs. Sammy, as always, in the group chat. Will be back next week. I just decided in break that we'll allow him back. More voices, the merrier. Plus, I need all the friends I can get. I don't have many friends, so I can't afford to lose a friend. But thanks to those guys. Thanks again to you, the viewer and the listener, for rating, reviewing, subscribing on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Most importantly, second most importantly, good luck with your wagers. And remember, most importantly, the less you bet, the more you lose when you win.